welcome back to the WorkPlay podcast. I'm so excited for today because it's just going to be me and you. I wanted to come on and do a solo episode and talk to you guys a little bit about things that I'm just hearing in the industry, in multiple industries. I know that WorkPlay spans multiple industries, so I hear a lot of different things, but I like to find patterns in what I'm hearing and understanding that's happening in the culture, in the industries, in business in general. And it's funny because when I think about the end of the year, I always notice the same thing, right? Everyone starts gearing up to go into the new year, new them, new business, and there's this pressure to get everything right before the beginning of the new year or the next year. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that because I know if you're listening to this podcast, you clearly are interested in how visuals and visual marketing really moves the needle in your business. I want to talk about it when it comes to visuals because visuals are an interesting part of your marketing. They're not the thing that, you post an image and getting 100 sales is the result of that one image being posted. They're almost like a compounding strategy that you implement for long periods of time to build this brand and this foundation and this experience on how people experience your brand or your business or yourself if you're a personal brand. And so it's interesting for me because, that is our bread and butter around here. That's what I've honestly dedicated all of my life up until this point to. And it's interesting because when I talk to people around this time, I keep hearing the same thing. I have to figure out my strategy before I can figure out the visuals. And I always thought that was really interesting because to me, visuals are the ultimate action you can do in your business. If you're going to create a visual campaign, you're taking so much action. I understand how much energy it takes to show up in your business, show up in who you are in front of the camera, and then not only in front of the camera for a full day, but then do it in front of other people. And I think it creates these feelings of perfectionism. It creates these feelings of I have to have everything figured out before I can put the wrapping paper, which are the visuals, onto my offer or my business. And I also think that there's a lot of comparison that can happen around this time of like, oh wow, so-and-so had this year and she looks like this and she created visuals like this and I don't have the budget to have a photo shoot. Whatever it is, whatever the limiting beliefs are in the narratives that go on. But I noticed that it's rather prevalent around this time. And so I want to go into this idea of almost like decision paralysis, where it's like at the end of the year, we're trying to like dump our cash. We're trying to invest in the things, pay in full so that we don't get a bigger tax bill, right? And we're just looking at all of these things. I think that this really causes us to sit and think like, if I don't make the right decision right now for 2025 or whatever year you're listening to this episode in, if I don't make the decision right now, then I'm not going to have a good new year. And that's a dangerous place to be in because we start to try and get answers from outside sources, like our team, like our friends, like our family, like random people that we don't even know on Instagram that we're idolizing. We're spending so much time thinking about what the strategies should be that we're not even just taking action. Like the end of the year, if you really think about it, is just another day, right? And each day in our businesses, that is when we make the most compounding impact. every single day? What are we doing every single day? What systems are we implementing and structuring in our business every single day? That is what makes your year. And so I say this because so many people that I've been talking to specifically this year, which is why I'm making a whole episode about it, are sitting there being like, I cannot create my visuals until I figure out my strategy, or until I figure out where I'm going to be showing up online. When in reality, visuals it's a universal thing, right? Strategies are, I get it, they're for specific platforms, specific mediums, specific offers, but visuals are a constant thing. It makes us feel more productive to think about the strategy rather than just taking action. And I truly believe that when you are creating visual campaigns in your business, you are consistently taking action. You are consistently showing up for your business, whether you like it or not. It is a built-in accountability system for you. When you are forced to take action, or you put yourself into a system that forces you to take action, like the WorkPlay method, it causes you to then have deadlines with yourself and say, okay, I've got this thing coming up that I need to create visuals around, and I need to get clarity right now. And I think that we live in this world where it's like we have to feel so comfortable all the time. And if it doesn't feel comfortable, then it's not for us. And I think that there's a narrative out there right now that's kind of like that, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed that undertone, especially in the online world, where it's like, okay, I have to be comfortable. And if I'm not comfortable, I'm not living life correctly. I don't think I agree with that. I think that you really have to put yourself in systems, whether it's in your life or in your business, that push you to that next level. And when it comes to business, business doesn't care about your feelings. Business doesn't care if you're comfortable or not. And I think that a lot of people get left in the dust a little bit when it comes to business and branding, because they're just focused on staying comfortable and they're not focused on what their next level is. When you're thinking about strategy and you're almost getting this decision paralysis about taking action because you haven't figured out the strategy yet, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. It's making you feel more productive than you actually are, because you're thinking about it, you're thinking, but while you're thinking about it and while you're contemplating, nothing's actually getting done. And so I like to really think about this whole concept through this lens. And it goes like this: action creates data, and data creates better questions, and better questions create better actions. And so when you're just sitting there trying to figure out what the strategy is going to be, you're actually not taking action and you're not getting data. You're just thinking. And yes, thinking is good in certain moments, but when it hinders a decision because we're overthinking it or we're over contemplating something to the point where we don't have clarity, that is a signal that you need to take more action. And I don't know if that action is creating visuals in your business on a consistent basis, or if it's something else. Only you is going to know that. But what I do know is that action creates data. So let's break this down. What does that even mean? What is that first part? Action create data. What does that mean? That means when you do something, you're now in a feedback loop. So you're going to do something that's going to cause something else to happen, like an effect. And that's going to show up in your reality, in your business world. And you get to decide, as the visionary in your business, do I like this data or do I not like this data? Once you decide that, is this good data or is this data like not really what I wanted? Now you get to ask better questions. So what I mean by this is, let's say you do something and you get back something that you don't really like that much, right? You took some action and it flops or something in your mind. You get to ask now the question of, why did this happen? Why did this flop? You get to dig a little bit because now we have data to actually play with. You get to break it down and you get to understand, oh, this worked because of this, or this didn't work because of this. And those questions that you ask yourself that you can then bring to your team, everyone now has a better foundation on how to go forward. Once you ask the better questions, you can then decide to take a better action. And so this whole idea, I know that this is not a new idea. You guys have probably heard this before. You probably do it in your business right now. But when it comes to showing up online, are you taking action? Are you taking the most amount of action that you can right now? Because if the answer is no, if the answer is I've been sitting on what I should even do, I have no idea, then the answer might just be to try something out, right? Because if you sit here, if you think about the time that you're sitting and trying to think it over, right? Let's say it takes you 2 weeks to think it over. Whereas if you had just taken action in those 2 weeks, and let's just say that you got back something you didn't necessarily like or want, you're now a step ahead of what you would have been if you just sat there and thought about what the strategy should be. You now actually have data that can give you a better result in the future. It's just like an illusion that we have to figure out the strategy before we actually take action on that strategy. That's a huge part of what happens around this time, and a huge part as to why people don't go all in on their visuals right away. It's like, I have to get the strategy down. And it's like, no, you've got to start taking some action so you know what strategy to even go with. This leads me into my last and final point, is that you fall to the level of your systems. And this is not my quote. This is from James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits, which I'm sure you have read or heard about. And I just think that this is such a potent message. Do you have a system in place that is going to hold you accountable to taking action? Because I think we're so excited to learn a new thing, do a new thing, purchase a new strategy, when in reality, we're chasing the dopamine hit that is purchasing that course or that strategy that you think is going to be the golden ticket to your success, when in reality, you just need to take more action. You just need more data. And I'm biased because I love the WorkPlay method for this accountability system that I think everyone needs on their marketing team, because it forces you every single quarter to say, what am I doing in my marketing, right? Because you have to know what you're doing in your marketing before your photo shoot, or else what are we creating visuals for? And so the WorkPlay method has systems in place to help you figure that piece out. But in the bigger grand scheme of things, you're purchasing an accountability system for your marketing team. Oh my gosh, the amount of gasoline that gets put on the fire when you start taking action through visuals for your marketing, because all of a sudden now we've got to perform, and we've got to perform whether we have the thing or not. And so it actually creates a ton of action that then creates data, that then creates better questions, that then creates better action. And it's not something that's forward facing. I mean, I would never create a landing page for WorkPlay branding that says we are an accountability system, but it is the underlining thing that keeps WorkPlay members continuously creating visuals in their business year after year after year. And I don't think it has anything to do with the visuals, other than, yes, those are tangible assets that, amplify so many things in their business. But honestly, it's a habit. And it's a system. And when you've got a good system going, you don't want to break it. So going into the new year, here is my challenge to you. Figure out what parts of your marketing need an accountability system. What parts are you stalling? What strategies are you overthinking that could just be figured out through action, through actually doing them? And then what I want you to ask yourself is, do I have the right assets to make this strategy come into fruition? Do I have assets that are going to pull my ideal client into where I'm wanting to pull them into? Do I have enough assets to create a pattern interruption with all of this Christmas, New Year's fluff flowing around that is distracting them? Do I have captivating visuals that I can pair with my offers? And if the answer is no, let's talk. Go into my DMs at WorkPlay Branding. I will be here all week. I am not taking Christmas off. I want to talk to you guys about this accountability system, these visuals, because honestly, this is the time where so many people are taking action. For as many of us that are like sitting there like, I don't know what strategies to do, there are so many people that take action during this time and they make their year go crazy. They make this new year their year. And so I want to be there for you guys who are sitting there like, oh, I got to get my strategy down first. I'm going to be in the DMs. DM me at WorkPlay Branding and let's chat about it. Let's chat about your 4 main marketing campaigns for 2025. And let's get really clear so that you don't have to overthink this anymore. And then let's create the visual campaigns that are going to blow these marketing campaigns out of the water. That is what I want for you for 2025. I am so excited for you. I hope you guys enjoyed your Christmas. I hope you guys are going to have a fantastic new year. And I want to talk to you in the DMs. I'll see you on the next episode.